someone, God will save us. That's the kind of hopelessness that I don't like. I'm an optimist, and this is why I'm trying to speak to you, and I hope you share some of these ideas. If you do, you will speak to 10 other people. So if 200 people here go out and speak to 10 other people, there will be 2,000. And if 2,000 people speak to 10 other people, there will be 20,000. And if 20,000 people speak to 10 other people, there will be 200,000. So we can build a movement, big movement, in the same way as the movement for civil rights, Martin Luther King built in the United States, and Nelson Mandela and his organization built in South Africa and around the world to bring an end to apartheid. And the Berlin Wall came down, and that consciousness was changed. So many, many big changes have taken place in the past. And that gives me optimism that if apartheid can come to an end, Berlin Wall can fall down, British Empire can come down. I mean, Hong Kong was a British colony, and Britain was so powerful. Where is that British power now? India was a British colony, but now India is free. So all those things can happen in the past. That history, those examples, give me optimism and hope. And therefore, let's work together and bring back our connection with nature, with soil, with food, and have a joyful, wonderful life of dignity.
Thank you again, Satish, for your time. My question is going to be about choices of food that you make.
Yeah.
And those choices, like when we have the discussion around whether we are vegan, vegetarian, or eating meat, and when you start asking questions about whichever choice you've made there and starting to realise the craziness of our food transport system when organic vegetables may be coming from New Zealand, sustainable fish from the US, frozen. And what got me was when there was the air traffic was closed down in Europe, our local shop couldn't get organic sausages because they were air freighted from Europe.
Yeah.
When you're travelling and away from home, how do you make some choices around the food you eat, which is kind of the choice that I might be making each day at work, is where I'm coming from, is like, how do you choose what you enrich your body with each day?
So,
Yes.
so the question is about the food system and transportation of food, and when Satish is traveling, how does he make choices about what food to eat?
When I'm traveling, it is not easy. One choice I have made, whether I'm traveling or staying at home, is eating only vegetarian food. That limits a number of problems already, because if it's a vegetarian, that means you are not participating in the factory farms of animals and cruelty to animals and slaughtering in cruel conditions, all that. And when you are vegetarian, also this problem with, at this moment, big problem I think, particularly in China and Hong Kong as well maybe, the overconsumption of wild animal food. I'm told that there's a lot of wild food is very fashionable in China, and therefore people are going into the wild and collecting all that food, of even snakes and all kinds of wild animals. If you become vegetarian, then you reduce that. I do not say that everybody will become vegetarian. Then second choice would be reduce your meat consumption. This idea that we need so much meat is large extent propaganda by the food industry, that we need so much protein. I was in a primary school in Dartington when I was organizing Tagore Festival. I wanted the school to participate in it, so I went to speak to them about Tagore. And one of the child asked me a question. It was only 7 or 8 year old child. Said, what is your favorite animal? I said, elephant. He said, why? I said, elephant is vegetarian and yet it becomes so big. So idea that only meat can give you enough energy, and otherwise you don't get energy from vegetarian food, is complete myth. My family has been vegetarian for something like 1,500 years. And Jain family, the Jains don't eat meat. And I am, can you guess how old I am? I'm 75 years young. And I have never tasted meat or fish in my life. Do I lack energy? Horses are vegetarians. Do they lack energy? So I would say first choice we need to make is to reduce our meat consumption. The second choice I make when I'm at home in England, I never shop in a supermarket. I always go to a farmer's market or a small supplier of organic food. Most of our vegetables and fruit I grow myself, so I don't need to buy. But for other things like flour or lentils or other honey or oil, other ingredients I need, so I shop in a small shop. And a small shop, a boutique shop, is a much more joyful and a pleasant place to shop than a supermarket where you are nobody. When you go in a small shop, you talk to the shopkeeper. You are friendly. They want you to buy something from them. And you want to please them. There's a kind of relationship. And I talked a lot about relationship last night. So shopping becomes a pleasant experience rather than take this, full of trolley, take home, half of it is wasted. Half of it is packaging. So second choice I make for myself is never to shop in supermarkets. And the third choice I make is as much as possible, and it's not 100%. Let's not think that we can create 100% utopian ideal and live a utopian ideal 100%. We must always make our journey towards a better, more decentralized, more local system. So I try to buy organic in my choice, and I try to buy as much as possible local. So these are the choices I make. But everybody have to make their own choice. There is no one blueprint for everybody. As long as you are aware, you are mindful, you are thinking about your food and where it is coming from, how it is packaged, how it is transported, how it is managed, how it is grown. All these questions are in the back of your mind. I'm sure every one of us and every one of you are intelligent and wise, and with your own wisdom, you will make a right choice. So there is no blueprint. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from mainland China, from Tree Hugger.
In mainland China, tree hugger. That's good news.
There are tree huggers in mainland China. I have a question about the Chipko movement.
Yes.
The local women played a more pivotal role than men in the Chipko movement. What do you think is the reason for this difference between the genders, besides the fact that deforestation affects the livelihood of women more directly?
Yes, yes. Now, many of you may not have heard of this Chipko movement, and again, my friend Bandana Shiva was very much part of that movement. It happened because a big company got license from the government to go and cut down a huge, big area of forest in the Himalayas, just north of Dehradun in the Himalayas, on the way to very holy place of pilgrimage where the Ganges originate. The source of the Ganges that way was the forest. And the teak forest And they wanted to make some, this cricket bats or something like that. And so, when the women heard about it, they said, forest is our livelihood. We cannot allow this big company to come with all these big tractors and so on. So they said, what should we do? But they had not organized anything. They did not know what to do. So simple thing, they decided. Somehow it came out of in a kind of inspired moment. And somebody suggested that we are going to go and hug the trees and say to these chainsaw tree cutters that before you cut down the tree, you have to cut our bodies. And everybody thought, that's what a brilliant idea. And so the women said, men thought, oh, they are going to pull you away and do like this or that. Say, but they won't touch women. Because in Indian culture, you don't touch women unless you know the woman, your mother, your wife, your sister. You don't touch an alien or somebody, a woman you don't know. So you stay at home, men folks, and look after the children for a change. And we will go, women, and we hug the tree. But we cannot allow this big company to cut down our forest. Hundreds and hundreds of trees. And teak wood, very valuable, beautiful, and very important source of livelihood for the forest people. And so that was the reason, because men, the chainsaw people, will not touch women unless they know them. Became a very important point to inspire women to lead the movement. And these people came, and women said, before you cut the tree, you have to cut us. And tree after tree after tree. And the moment any tree was empty, and if somebody went for a chainsaw, the women would rush to it and hug the trees. And so, for a whole week, these people who came with the chainsaw could not cut a single tree. And the news spread. And then Vandana Shiva was there. She's very sort of good at publicity and contacting the press and so on. So she spread the word. Lucknow, New Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, radio, television, Chipko. Everybody, it was in every newspaper and every radio station. So suddenly it became such a big movement. And then a delegation of men went from the area to the local government and the central government. In the end, that order, which license was given to this company, was withdrawn. And the women had the victory of saving the forest. So that was this story.
Beautiful. Yes.
Hi, Dr. Kumar. Hong Kong is one of the worst offenders when it comes to consuming locally grown produce. Something like 90% of the food in Hong Kong is imported across all categories. Meat, dairy, fruit, vegetables. And Hong Kong ranked 9th on numerous food vulnerability index last year. So I'm wondering, given that Hong Kong has very limited land, what are some practical ways that we can achieve a better balance? I mean, obviously it's not realistic to expect 100% local consumption, but what are some practical ways that we can actually improve this balance? Is the best solution simply sourcing more from southern China? Because there are certainly food safety issues in China. There are problems there as well. So I'm wondering what suggestions you might have, within Hong Kong's borders.
Hong Kong's very vulnerable. 90% of the food comes from outside. And what are some practical ways that we can redress this balance?
Yeah. It is a real question, and it's difficult to think immediately how Hong Kong can begin to be more self-reliant locally with locally grown food. But if your consciousness is there, and if you begin to think, you will find that any areas now empty of buildings can be protected for growing food. The growth of buildings has been non-stop, more or less, for a long time. And I think now Hong Kong and the surrounding area, including New Territory, have perhaps enough buildings. Unless they are really essential, I think we should try to do the amount of buildings we have today enough and not build more new buildings and more new infrastructure. So see how much land you can reclaim within your city and within your various islands. So that will be one step. Small step, nevertheless, at least your consciousness is that way. I don't know what the food issues and safety issues are with southern China, but I would like to find a way so that transportation of miles and the distance of miles is reduced. If you have food miles, which are 10,000 miles or 5,000 miles or 2,000 miles, if you can reduce them to 200 miles or 100 miles or 50 miles, that from the point of view of environment is better. I would like to say that if your waste is reduced, your consumption will be reduced. At the moment we are importing a lot of food from far away and we are not even using it. A lot of food is being wasted, even in Hong Kong. So reduce your waste. And as I said, Kaduri Farm and various other farms which are already there, talk to them and see how we can participate a little bit in a voluntary basis. So if people go and touch the earth, touch the soil, know about the seeds, the seasons, all that, that knowledge itself will connect you with natural world. So without hoping that you can become 100% self-reliant on your food and achieve such ideal, say step by step. The Great Wall of China was not built in one day. Step by step, brick by brick, stone by stone, day after day, after a long period, the Great Wall was built. So if you want a transformation and change from 60-80% of food imported from New Zealand or Europe or America or something far away, if you want to reduce that and focus on reducing your food miles and making as local as possible, where there is a will, there is a way. You will find some ways.